Welcome to episode 188 of the Fully In It podcast. Do you ever feel like you're not doing enough as a mom, or maybe that you're not good enough? Do your days feel monotonous, and at the end of the week, you can't exactly remember what you even did? If this is you, you're not alone. The truth is that motherhood is meaningful, but we often forget it. The reality is that there is a version of motherhood that feels meaningful, perhaps even a bit magical, and it's available right now. So let's go ahead and dig right in. Welcome to the Fully In It podcast with Kate Saffel, a show for powerful moms growing life-changing businesses while showing up intentionally for their families. I teach you how to create a family-first and profitable business in less time by leveraging simple strategy, mom life-friendly systems, and above all, the mindset of going fully in it. You ready? So as you probably know, I'm back in the early days of motherhood with a newborn, and it's reminding me of how long the days can truly feel. When I'm in a swirl of changing diapers and nursing, making food for the big kids, homeschooling, paying bills, running my business, managing all of the things, I'll admit I do struggle to find the magic in motherhood. My days have been feeling long, and sometimes I think, each day just looks exactly the same. If you feel this way too, believe me, you are not alone. But the interesting part is that with 14 years of motherhood experience under my belt, I've also tasted firsthand how absolutely meaningful this mom life can be, where the days have my heart overflowing with gratitude and joy instead of overwhelm and exhaustion. And sometimes, honestly, they're all there together, but it just depends on where I choose to focus my attention. These are the kind of days where I remember how lucky I am to be in this exact moment in time with my children doing life together. And whether you have a baby like me, or your kids are grown up, or somewhere anywhere in between, I want to share with you some of the ways that I remind myself about shifting my days to see motherhood as meaningful. Because, my friend, it is 100% available to all of us to shift out of autopilot and into a deeper, more resonant experience of home life. Are you ready? So these are some of the truths that I've discovered over the years that have deeply helped me on my motherhood journey. The first one is the foundation of it all, and it is this. You craft your perception of you, your home, your days, and your family. So everything that you believe about each of those categories, whether it's yourself or your home or your kids, the mess in your living room, the empty fridge, all the tasks you have to do, you are the one who is determining how you see all of those aspects. And it can be really tempting, especially when you're operating out of autopilot. And I've done that many times in the past, to just take things at face value and assign a negative meaning to them. So for example, you're stuck at home because you've had a couple of rainy days in a row. You could look at that circumstance and you could tell yourself that it's really hard and it's overwhelming and you're frustrated and, the kids are really difficult, and it can become a bit of a spiral. Or you can decide to look at your situation with curiosity and fresh eyes and reframe it for how it is that you actually want to see it. Maybe the rain has given you an opportunity to bond closer as a family and make new memories in your home in ways that you don't normally get to because you're always so busy and you're out of the house. Ultimately, how you see your days and whether they are good or they are bad is an extension of how you feel inside. And you've got to be the one to notice the internal dialogue. You got to be the one to notice your emotional state and the output that you are creating within your home. So for me, this has been work I have done for years because, as I've shared on this podcast, I used to struggle so much with negativity around being a mom, around my home, around my future. Really just it leaked into every area of my life, and I wouldn't say that I was totally aware of it. And then it struck me that I was pretty unhappy, and I knew I didn't want to feel that way, and I knew that I wanted to have a really beautiful experience with my kids because I cognitively understood that the time is short, that it is a limited window to enjoy them. And was I going to lose it by being stuck in negativity and my own creation of overwhelm? And that was really what kicked me into my personal growth journey of deciding to shift out of being a victim to my circumstances and taking personal responsibility for my days, for myself, for my home, and for my parenting. And then, as you know, that, led into so many other incredible outcomes in my life, starting my business, traveling full time with my family, my marriage improving. It's really been such a wonderful thing to look back on simply because I decided to stop being so negative. But it was a daily practice that I had to pay attention to. And I'll be honest with you, I'm postpartum again. And I've always had some postpartum blues with my other kiddos, a little bit here and there. My brain has a tendency to go to the negative. And because I know this about myself, I am being gentle with myself, but at the same time, I'm also lovingly calling myself out when I start to go into a negative thought pattern. Not because we need to blanket ourselves with false positivity. I'm not saying that. But negativity can be a habit. It can be a really bad habit. And I'm here for the good, life-changing habits. So speaking poorly to myself about my days or me as a person or anything like that, that just doesn't serve. So what I want to share with you is that in the moments when I want to internally grumble, maybe this happens to you too, and you're just like feeling frustrated or irritated or overwhelmed, here's what I want you to try. I want you to pause, take a breath, maybe a couple of breaths, maybe go find a quiet place to hide if you need to that's away from everybody, and try this 5 senses process. So you know the 5 senses, right? You're going to be willing to look at your home with fresh eyes, see what you notice with your vision, really focus on your children and taking them in as if you've never seen them before, and savor that vision. Smell the air, right? Do you have a candle burning? Can you smell your coffee? Is it like, for me, I'm in the nursing phase, so it's like the baby's breath smells like milk. What do you smell? Can you really breathe that in? Breathe that in, because this moment, it is just one and it is finite and it will be gone. What do you hear? Do you hear the kids' little voices? My 14-year-old, I can still kind of remember how her voice sounded when she was little. And I thank goodness for technology because I can always watch those videos, but I can't go back to that moment. And so it's just like pausing and hearing your children's voices, how they are right now, because they're going to change. The tone of their voice, the deepness of it, their language, how they pronounce words. My son still says "consplosion" for explosion, even though we've told him how to, we've said, "Oh, it's explosion." He's like, "Consplosion." I'm like, "Okay, bud." But you know what? He won't say that forever. So these are the things that you want to hear and really attune your ears toward, and then taste. What does your life taste like right now? Is it toast that you had a chance to butter in between taking care of the kids? Is it your warm cup of coffee? What is it for you? What does this season of motherhood taste like to you? I think that's a really fun thing to think about that will ground you in being here now, being in this moment and not in the future, not in the past, not in comparison mode to some other mom on Instagram who has a perfectly white home and all of her kids wear matching outfits every day and she bakes sourdough bread. Like, we got to let those things go. Your home life, your motherhood is exactly what it needs to be, and it's perfect for you and it's meaningful for you because the work that you are doing, it matters. And then being able to just sit in gratitude, whether you need to write it down, which was my practice for many, many years to help intentionally shift my mind, is I would every day write down what I was grateful for and keep listing until I felt an internal shift. Maybe you need to write it down. Maybe you just need to sit in it. Maybe you need to vocalize it to your kids and say, I'm so grateful for. They need to hear mom saying that. They want to feel like you are grateful for them and that they aren't a burden to you. So paying attention to your language and how you speak of things, how you speak of them to them is incredibly important. Life and death are in the tongue. And so we need to really watch our speech. The next thing I want to share with you that can be really impactful when you want motherhood to feel more meaningful is to look back from the future, not Back from the Future, the movie. I'm laughing only because my thought through my head when I said that was, Kate, you're getting old. Will people even get this reference? I don't know. Let me know. Do you know the Back to the Future movies? I want to hear. Okay. So what you're going to do is think of yourself as an 80-year-old. I'm guessing you're not 80. Maybe someone who's 80 listens to this podcast. And if I love that, please say hi. That would mean a lot to me. But you're most likely not 80 now, right? You're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s. How would 80-year-old you feel about getting to experience just one more day as a young mother in the thick of raising her kids? I think often, and I've mentioned this on the podcast, my grandmother is 95 and her memory is slipping, and her days are a bit lonely and she's reflecting a lot on her life. And I just think, gosh, what if I was 80, what would I just be willing to give to have one more day in the messy, chaotic, fun swirl of family life? Like, what a gift it is. What a gift it is, but we can kind of squander that gift when we just complain about it, right? When we only choose to see the negative. But 80-year-old you is shouting at you saying, hey, wake up. Enjoy this now, because someday you're going to be old like me and you cannot get that back. You cannot go backward. That's the hard part about this life. We can only change from this moment going forward. Every minute, it really, really matters. Also, this is really helpful in marriage too, right? Like if you're married and you've been feeling frustrated with your husband, you've just you're in a season of it just being tough and you feel that separation and distance from each other. What if you didn't have him? Right? What if you were doing life without? I know it's so morbid, Kate. Like, gosh, Kate, why do you talk about these things? But it's the truth. My mother-in-law is a widow. My mom's friends are starting to all become widows. This is part of life, and it is a hard part of life. And it's the same thing with my husband, Kirk. I think, gosh, I want to enjoy him now because the future is not promised. And it's our time now to savor one another's, savor the life we're creating together as a family. It's such a beautiful thing. Finally, tell the story. So at the end of the day, you're in bed, maybe you grab your journal, maybe you just say it in your mind. Tell the meaningful version of your day. Why did your day matter? Even if your day was spent cooking, doing laundry, driving kids all over the place, what was special about today? Can you tell yourself a little story about how the day went, like you would read in a book or an essay? Sometimes just this approach helps us to think differently about our circumstances. So I hope that all of this helps you. This was fun for me. I was like, oh yeah, Kate, these are like great ideas, because these are all things I've done off and on over the years. And I'm like, okay, we should do this, because, you have a real opportunity to see your motherhood not only as meaningful, but as the place you want to be right now. You don't want to be anywhere else. And that's something we have to intentionally cultivate. So I hope that this episode helped you and served you. I would love to hear from you. Send me a line at hello@happierandmotherhood.com. And I can't wait to see you on the next episode.